Now, next on stage we have Pavel, who will tell you how AI and ML can accelerate NFT mass adoption. Guys, I know it's still evening, you're still sleepy, but still, before the party starts, let's give him a big hand.
Okay, hello everyone. How are you doing this evening? It's one of the last presentations on a Friday, so I hope you'll be okay in this talk and it won't be too boring. I'll do my best to keep it exciting. My name is Pavel, and I'll be talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning applications in the NFT space. So AI and ML have had a massive impact on Web 2 and on the world more generally over the past few years. Biggest companies in tech, like Facebook, Netflix, Google, are all powered by machine learning. Spotify, TikTok, and so on use ML to power how they serve content to users. Amazon uses it to decide pricing, to decide how to serve recommendations. Banks use it to manage fraud. But somehow in the NFT space, we still haven't seen much adoption of machine learning. And I think that the next wave of NFT adoption will be driven and will be powered by machine learning in many ways. So a bit about my background. I'm a data scientist and machine learning developer who's been working on NFTs for the past few years. I've been in the crypto market since 1925. Well, not that early, but early. So I'm quite interested in this space. And for the NFT-specific things that I've been working on, I've built tools that you may have interacted with before. I've built machine learning models for valuing NFTs that are used by projects like NFT.Fi. I've also built tools that are used by QEii. If you've used that to ever swap NFTs, you may have seen machine learning recommended or generated prices on those NFTs. And I've also worked on machine learning-based search and discovery systems and done some other work, sort of publishing articles in places like the Harvard Business Review about NFT marketplace design and so on. So I'm going to talk about a few applications that I think are the most exciting in the space and are things we might expect to see over the next few years. The first one is pricing and market efficiency. So this is an example from QEii. And here you can see for the different Bored Apes, up top there's a little bar that shows how much underpriced is this ape. Now that pricing is based on a machine learning model that's ingesting information about the sales of the ape in the past, about the traits of the ape, about sales of other apes, and it's combining that to generate a prediction of what is a reasonable market price for this ape at this point in time. And the number can be updated hourly, or as frequently as you like, subject to some technical constraints on data ingestion and on processing. Why is this useful? Well, it's useful, first of all, to bring new people into the space and make them less worried about buying something that is worth less than what they think it is. It prevents them from buying something and paying too much for it. It also helps sellers decide what to sell their things for. It's useful in DeFi applications for NFTs. For example, if you want to lend your NFT, you have to have a sense of what is the value of this NFT at any point in time. So machine learning can help increase market efficiency by increasing price transparency in the NFT space. The second application that I think is really interesting is designing creator tools using machine learning. You may have heard of projects like DALL-E by OpenAI, Stable Diffusion, which was recently open sourced, as well as other similar projects where you can enter text, and based on the text input that you create, the AI generates a piece of art for you. It can generate something that's photorealistic. It can generate something that looks like a design. It can generate something that is 3D graphics. The possibilities are endless. And so here's one thing that I tried to do with DALL-E a while back. I put in designer sneakers. I added a few sentences to describe that these sneakers should look like they're made from tree bark. The sneakers should look like they are athletic collectibles. They're on display in a store which sells streetwear. There's neon lighting in the background. And the model was able to create something like this. So it's very interesting to think about how we can take this tech and port it over to the NFT space to help all of the brands that are entering the space who want to create NFTs for everything ranging from loyalty programs to ticketing programs to other types of collectibles to gaming items, and might need to be able to create art for it at scale. If we create some way of transferring this tech and making it more standardized for the NFT space, I think that would be a very interesting application of machine learning to look forward to. NFT search. This is a space I'm very passionate about recently. If we search for profile pic on OpenSea, profile pic is a very natural query to make in the NFT space. There's a bunch of NFTs out there that are profile pics, we understand this concept really well. But if we search for profile pic on OpenSea, we get a bunch of results that are not incredibly relevant. There's 2 horses in here for some reason. There's even some content that comes up that's not safe for work or that's undesirable in some way. And these are the first results that you get when you make a search. So imagine if someone is coming from Web 2, someone who's used to frictionless interactions with platforms like Google, Facebook, Netflix, and so on, and they try to enter into Web 3 and they're encountered with horrible search experiences, NFTs that are partially scams or are copies of other stuff. It's going to be very hard for them to decide to take the step and actually learn more about the space and get into it. So I think solving search is one way to encourage the next 100 million users to feel comfortable entering in the space, knowing that the results they see are trusted collections that are not scams, that are consistent with what they're interested in, being able to find what they like. So this is a tool that I built with a friend that does this better and uses some modern machine learning text to essentially improve on top of the search. NFT discovery is related. Here's another search using this tool that I built with my friend. We search for mecha profile pic and we find stuff that looks like mechas. It is also showing us profile pics, so it's a much better understanding of search queries. But also things like recommender systems would be really interesting to see in the NFT space. For example, here's a recommendation for an artwork made by Pak on the top left here in the red square. And we see that we're generating recommendations of things that not only look aesthetically similar, but are also coming from trusted collections. Like, for example, there are several art blocks in here, which is a very trusted collection, and where the price points are largely consistent with the price point for the Pak artwork. So in that case, if a collector wants to find more things, it's very natural for them to discover items that are consistent with their interests, a good fit for their price point, and potentially even fit aesthetic preferences, or have overlap in communities of collectors. All right, and then another very important component where machine learning can be very helpful is, of course, in moderation and IP protection. So ensuring safety in the space is key. This is also something that I discovered by scanning different NFT marketplaces and trying to look for potential IP infringement cases. And I've discovered that a lot of people are actually minting Pokemon cards as NFTs and trying to sell those NFTs through user-generated content NFT marketplaces. And of course, this isn't great. This doesn't create a good reputation in the space if we're seeing a lot of these types of infringement activities. It's also dangerous for the markets that are serving this type of content, and it limits the extent to which they can let people create things and post things on their platform, because they have to monitor everything carefully. There's a big human effort involved in checking to make sure that everything that's posted is legitimate, is unique, is original, it has been created with permissions, and so on. Beyond Pokemon cards, there's also lots of art. If you search for artists like Kandinsky, you'll find artworks that have been minted as NFTs and so on. So I'll conclude with this thought. I think there's a huge opportunity here to bring machine learning into the space. I think the market opportunity is actually bigger than $25 billion, given the current sort of market volume on the order of 80 billion in the NFT space to date. And if you look at traditional companies in the Web 2 space, there's consistent evidence that machine learning, recommenders, improved search leads to these orders of magnitudes of improvements in terms of transaction volumes, in terms of user engagement, and so on. But still, not many people are working on this. And I think it's because traditional machine learning engineers are not necessarily familiar with NFTs to the extent that they're comfortable entering into the space and getting involved. But I think this will change, and I'm personally working quite heavily on this. If this is something that interests you, please feel free to speak with me. Always happy to make connections. The machine learning community is not a big one, but I think it's one that can have a massive impact in the space and contribute a lot to onboarding the next 100 million people into the space. So very happy to stay in touch, and thank you for your time.